What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Monday? Hope everybody has been doing great. I am back after roughly 2.5 weeks away. Missed all of the free agency stuff. I'm back here and it's almost draft month. Crazy enough, we are 1 weekend through the NCAA tournament. March Madness is alive and well. And we're going to have a great conversation because finally, I think Easton has come to my side on a Will Levis conversation and take that I have been on since like November. So pre-Thanksgiving take for me. Easton has finally joined me, and Easter's like 3 weeks away. So
Well,
congratulations, Easton,
you know what?
for joining my side.
Yours was a shot in the dark. Mine's based on reporting. So
Shot in the dark. Mine
yours
was
yours
just
was a
logic.
educated guess. Yours was a
Yes.
vibe in January. Mine is based in
January. I'm talking like November. There's no way some
You
X
did
can
not
happen.
bring this up in November. We talked about this in January as soon as the season ended. You and I
I
did
don't
not
know.
talk about this in November. Nuh-uh.
Okay, maybe it wasn't you and I, but it was me and somebody on here. I was yelling it on the internet to somebody. But
Yelling, probably
yes,
Zach.
yeah, I'm back. I am back. Orlando, boo! Austin's back. That's very rude. I like the fact that Daff is saying, "Yay, I'm back." Tosh says, "Glad to see the OG back." I am back, and we might play a game. Bork says, "Any wild guesses on where I've been? Where in the world has Austin been?" I've not been with Carmen San Diego. If anybody catches that, or Easton, I don't know if you're too young or not, but
I get it. Yeah.
okay, good. All right, let's get this thing rolling here. We've got a good show. The Titans must do what's right for the franchise by trading away Will Levis sooner rather than later. Easton, we're gonna have a good show here on this Monday. You've got some reporting. I've got some just things, gut feelings that I was right about that now line up with the reporting. The Titans have one of the lowest end backups in the NFL right now. Is that good process or bad process? And it's the age game time. So welcome in. Let's get this thing rolling. Easton, tell the people what they got to do.
Yeah, good morning, Austin. Welcome back. Good morning to the chat. Seeing some guesses already. Some folks think you were on Survivor. If you were on Survivor and you're back after 2.5 weeks, it didn't go well, my friend.
That would be pre-merge
that,
timing, though.
that would be, it would be, but it would be tough news. It would be tough news for you.
And I
Yeah,
also would not be able to talk about it.
that's true. Well, it wasn't Survivor. I'll go ahead and tell folks that.
No.
Where Austin really was. Remember that cave that the Thailand soccer boys got trapped in years ago? Austin got stuck in there as well. That's where he was, and they've been working to get him out for weeks now. So glad that he's finally back. We got to like the show this morning before Austin reveals where he was, and before we talk all about the backup quarterback situation, the Will Levis of it all, the Brandon Allen of it all, whether or not we think it's a good idea for the Titans to roll into the season with Brandon Allen as the backup. A lot of questions this morning, a lot to get to. Going to be a great show, but you got to like the show for us on Facebook, on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up button. It's the easiest way that you can be a friend of the program this morning. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit the copy link and send to a friend that you know would like to tune in this morning. And then jump in the comments like Diane and Patrick, American Toff, NM Titan, Vanessa, David, Rashid. Seeing a lot of David, a lot of Corey, Scott, a lot of familiar faces this morning. Good morning to you guys. Join them over in the comments on Facebook and on YouTube after you have hit the like button.
Yep, let's get it going officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports here on a Monday. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Easton Freeze, one of our Titans reporters for A to Z Sports.com. We're Nashville's on-demand sports.network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links tweeted out segment by segment on our Twitter feed. That's at A to Z Sports. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more Titans coverage. Leave us that 5-star Google review for A to Z Sports. And we got to thank our sponsors for making the show happen and helping out you. Wilson County Hyundai, always make Wilson County Hyundai a part of your new car buying process in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. boneandjointtn.org is their website. And our friends at Bart Durham Injury Law, where a crash can change your life forever. Help is just a click away at bartdurham.com. So let's play the Bork game. Where has Austin been?
This is offensive right here.
Any wild guesses?
This is offensive. Patrick says, I was beginning to think Zach had went and fired you. Zach can't fire you.
No, we can. No, neither Zach or I can fire the other per contracts and per owning the company together.
Right. It is
That's
mutually assured destruction. If one
that
of you
is
goes
just how-
down, both of you
that's
goes
not-
down.
That's
Yeah.
not how the partnership of the business is set up. That's just not how that works.
Then we would just be Z Sports, and that would be weird. And
Nobody would like that. Let's see. I was not on Japan, the Trader show. I would love to go on the Traders, but it's also not in Japan. It is in Scotland. Sam was in Japan.
He's
at
mixing
one
Sam
point.
things. Yeah.
Yes. But hey, so any other? Let's see if
Were you trapped in outer space?
I was not trapped in outer space.
Okay, well, that's a decent guess.
Yes.
Were
There
you
was
in
a correct. I was not in Boston.
Okay.
Or Austin, because people have said that. But there was a correct guess, and I think it was Jeff first. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's it.
We had a baby. So that's what I've been doing the last couple of weeks.
Hey,
we were very, very excited to welcome in our son Jameson on March 5th. And so very healthy baby, great, healthy, happy wife, happy baby, happy dad, and been soaking up the newborn time the last couple of weeks. So yes, had the baby and very pumped, very excited, and very thrilled for this next chapter and a new member of the A to Z family, a new member of my family. And so very excited about that. But that's where I've been, taking a couple weeks off to make sure that I don't miss moments and get to have all of the fun time. So yes, baby boy, healthy, happy, doing great. Mom's doing great. Mom crushed it. Mom's a rock star. And we are good to be back here on the show as we're just about a month away from the draft. But that's where I've been the last couple of weeks.
Right, got to savor those moments. And now that you've not missed the first 2.5 weeks of your son's life, you've pretty much the drill now. You've got it. You don't. Moments are not important anymore. We can get back to sports. We can get back to doing our jobs. Congratulations to you. Glad that you guys are doing great. And we knew that the baby and Sam's wedding adventures were likely to overlap. We knew this a long time ago, and it ended up working out well. We didn't know. We knew when the wedding was. We weren't quite sure when the baby was, and we knew that they could overlap, and they did. And so shout out to Ryan and others at A to Z Sports who helped behind the scenes keep the ship flowing in the right direction, and all was well. And we're welcoming you back now today.
Absolutely, yeah. The baby happened when Sam was in Japan, and by the way, Sam's also married as of yesterday. So that's new news there. So we will see Sam here in a week or so after his honeymoon. But yeah, a lot of great things happening. But thank you for everybody that's saying the congrats here. Good to be back. Excited to be back and talking some Titans.
Nothing new in my life, by the way. Babies, marriage. I'm just.
Well, I mean, you've
nothing
been,
to report
again,
on my end.
I
nothing
do
to report.
Thanks to you and Ryan Roberts, who did a great job filling in and keeping things afloat during a very busy time, because I tried to do a decent enough job of keeping up with the Titans throughout free agency. And I've got takes, and we're going to put some of these takes in the microwave and reheat them up from a couple weeks ago here throughout this week, maybe next week, and see how that works as well. So Easton, let's a lot of going on while Easton's just existing.
I've just been existing. That's right.
There you go. All right. So let's dive into this backup quarterback / Will Levis conversation, because I guess it was a week ago, midweek last week, Josina Anderson threw something out there that was kind of already known, but she put it out there on the record from her that the Titans are shopping around Will Levis, which I've been saying for a long time that the Tennessee Titans cannot have Will Levis on the roster in 2025 for the season. And we'll talk more about the timing of what matters and when Will Levis will be moved. But the Titans, I think, would like to trade Will Levis, and that is now officially known by the world as of last week.
Well, actually, what Josina said was that Will Levis was a name that came up in a conversation about a potential trade, which is really riveting information. And again, we kind of made fun of it that morning because, yes, it is only noteworthy in the sense that Josina Anderson, somebody that is considered an insider, brought it up mentioning that name means that she's hearing it in a situation that's important enough to her to bring it up online, I guess is the way to put it. And so that's something. It's the first something on the matter that we've heard from that we had heard from an insider to that point, even though, to your point, we knew the very basics of the situation were liable to dictate him moving on at some point, whether it is sooner or later in this offseason process.
Right. So you did some reporting, and so kind of catch us up on where you stand on Will Levis, and then I'll dive into the timing because I did talk to Sam last week before he split town to go get married about the windows of opportunity for Will Levis to be traded away. So kind of catch us up on where you're at here, Easton, with the Titans quarterback situation, because Brandon Allen was also signed throughout free agency, who's got some crossover with Brian Callahan. So where you sit on the Will Levis situation here?
Yeah, I wrote an article that published yesterday afternoon on A2Zsports.com about the Titans backup quarterback situation. Titans head into the 2025 NFL season with a bad backup quarterback situation, and there's a great reason why it's exactly the right approach. And in that article, I talked about how I certainly have changed my tune on the Will Levis situation. Really, I mean, Sam and I talked about this last Tuesday or Wednesday, and since then I have changed my opinion of this based on some conversations that I've had. I've been talking all offseason about how I thought that there was an actual chance, despite what common knowledge logic would tell you is likely to be the case based on every other backup quarterback situation like this we've seen in NFL history. I thought there might be a chance he sticks around, just because I had been given genuine reason to believe that they were interested in keeping him in the offense for a second consecutive year, which is a luxury he hadn't been afforded really last 5 or 6 years. He hasn't been able to do that. Going back to his Penn State days, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. When his true freshman and second year at Penn State before transferring to Kentucky. Yeah.
And so I thought that was a real possibility. And I have since changed my opinion on that. I no longer think it's a real possibility that Will Levis is still on the roster. And again, before I changed my opinion of this, I kind of thought, well, if he is traded, it'll probably come at the very end of the offseason, maybe, end of the preseason, when they had the maximum opportunity to juice his stock. And I don't necessarily believe that's going to be the case either. Now, I don't think that's out of the realm possibility, but I think that the timeline on this is a bit faster. I think that because they're already enamored with Cam Ward, a month out from the draft, there is a very real possibility that he is actively shopped on or before draft day. And so I would keep an eye out for that. But whether or not he is traded pre-draft, during the draft, after the draft, in June, July, August, whenever, what I do feel pretty certain of is that he's going to be traded, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's sooner than later.
And I said this, I brought up the dates of November, and maybe it was December, but when Will Levis was benched against the Cincinnati Bengals, it was done. And I said at that point on the record, there is no way that Will Levis can be on this roster in 2025. And it's because of the way he was marketed, the way he was sold to the fan base and to the franchise, and to be the face of the franchise, and how disastrous it was a flop this past season out of the gates in the second half against the Chicago Bears in week 1. You can't bring him back. It's not that I don't think Will Levis is a bad guy at all. And I don't think Will Levis would create problems, but there was just, there would be just such a weird awkwardness if Will Levis was in the building while the next starting quarterback was also in the building. It would be so strange. And so I think, and I have thought for the longest of time, that Will Levis was not going to be on this roster, and he needs to be traded. If they cannot trade him, you've got to cut him. There is no other, having him on the roster is not an option. And I don't know what the return would be from a Will Levis trade, and that's not necessarily the conversation we're having today. But we might figure that out here sooner rather than later. But you've got to move on from Will Levis. It is the most obvious thing, and it is the only option they really have. They cannot have him on the roster. So I want to ask this question to everybody here. to get you guys off and rolling here in the chat. Prediction time. Let's just predict. When do you think Will Levis will be traded away from the Titans? When? I want a prediction on when Will Levis will be traded away by the Titans. I think there are 3 windows, so I'm just going to go through the 3 windows of opportunity. There is before the draft, which is basically now until April 24th. And by the way, it's March 24th. So that's ironic. Before the draft, during the draft, or at the end of training camp, like Malik Willis. Malik Willis went through training camp. They were able to get something for him, knowing that he was not going to make the roster. That was a good roster move by Brian Carthon and the powers that were last August. So those, I think, are the 3 windows of trading Will Levis: before the draft, during the draft, and then if you don't do it in one of those 2 windows, I think at the end of training camp is the next time that Will Levis is traded, because that's when teams will be looking for quarterbacks as well. So, Ethan, I'll let you react to my 3 windows here in a second, but I do want to get the chat involved. So, when do you think Will Levis will be traded? When do you think Will Levis will be traded? That's what we're throwing out here this morning. But first, let me tell you guys about our friends at the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org. They are the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know who you can turn to and who you can trust, and that's been the Bone and Joint Institute for me for a few times over the last few years, whether it be an old shoulder injury popping up from my high school football days, or maybe it's from a new injury that's just by being, overtraining and working too hard and being reckless into my 30s. You can do that with the Bone and Joint Institute, or if it's you, your son or daughter, somebody getting hurt playing intramural or rec sports, they've got you covered. Life it gets injuries just like in football, and the Bone and Joint Institute is right there for you. Online, boneandjointtn.org.
There's so much more to say, but first, make sure you have liked the show this morning on Facebook, on YouTube. Hit that like button for us. Easiest way for you to be a friend of the program this morning. Like the show, jump in the comments. All right, Austin, not to derail the show, but we had a bit of Titans news break a moment ago.
Sure.
They have signed a kicker. They have decided to move on from Nick Folk, who was fantastic for them the past 2 years, but now they bring in Joey Sly, 6-year veteran, played for the Patriots, I believe, last year. Going to pull up his numbers here in just a moment, but
Joey Sly's been around for a while. He was
6
really,
years.
Is that it? 6 years?
Mm-hmm.
Man, because I remember the last year I played fantasy football was the 2019 season, and he was my kicker. That's my Joey, and he was great.
Joey Sly.
He was great. It was great that year.
He went 26 for 33 in New England last year, 78.8%, 6 of 9 from 50 plus. So, Nick Folk was fantastic. He is also, granddaddy strong legs. He's getting up there in age. Nick Folk significantly younger, and new special teams coaching staff, new dawn here in Tennessee. Not shocking that they have, now that we know that they are doing this because of the Stonehouse of it all, it's not shocking at all that they are just rotating. One thing stays consistent, and that is you can't get rid of the long snapper. Just even the newest, freshest regime is not going to get rid of Steady Eddie there.
Cox, Vols legend.
You're not doing it. But everybody else, they are rotating out, and Joey Sly's the new guy. All right,
Joey Sly, good. Hecker, great. I think, I'm not necessarily calling Sly an upgrade from Nick Folk, but with the age thrown in there, it makes sense to move on overall. All right. So to reset here, I've been saying all along that Will Levis cannot be on this roster with how last season went and how he was marketed. And Easton, you believe that he is on his way out, that the Titans will trade him. I think they should trade him sooner rather than later. So I threw out 3 windows of when I think Will Levis would be traded. It's now before the draft. So basically the next 3.5 weeks before the draft. It's during the draft, during those 3 days of the NFL draft. And then it's also after training camp, because or towards the end of training camp, like Malik Willis last year. So, Easton, I'll give you your opportunity. How do you feel about my 3 windows of opportunity to trade away Will Levis?
How do I feel about them?
Yeah. Do you think they're accurate? Do you think there's anything to add to them? Is there a 4th window? How you think?
I think those are all the options. So I think that those are fine windows.
Good. Warfield on Twitter says the Titans aren't trading Levis. the same way they haven't traded Burks.
No, they might trade both here shortly. So
I mean,
stay tuned.
But those are very different situations to Warfield and to others. Is that
Here's another small reporting thing. I have heard a murmur of a Burks trade that is from a source not I wouldn't say unreliable, but so I have no idea who they are, that I'm not saying it anywhere in any serious parlance besides here, where it's just like, I'm just telling you I've heard it. I heard it, and it's probably nothing, but I did hear it.
Yeah, I mean,
from a person that is in the league, but I know nothing about them, and I know nothing about their track record or their sourcing. Yeah, no idea. Like, they just hit me up, and I'm like, all right, cool. I don't know what to do with this information, but thanks for letting me know.
Oh, they came to you.
Yeah, I got a DM from somebody that is somebody, and I'm like, okay.
Somebody who is somebody who is paid to talk and to work in the NFL.
Yeah, well, I believe so. And they were like, hey, you want to run with this? And I was like, no, but thanks for letting me know.
But yes, you do.
I was like, can you prove it? And they're like, no. I'm like, all right, well then.
Okay, so
it might be somebody that knows nothing and it's just making things up. But
maybe
that person's a genius if they're right. So just keep an eye on it. I don't know.
All right, I'm gonna start a poll because it's been a while since I've started a YouTube poll. So when will it's prediction time? When will Levis be traded away by the Titans? The three options I'm going to put on the YouTube poll are before the draft, during the draft, or during training camp. But Easton, I'll see if you can slide through some of the updated comments to find some of the answers to the question. I would love to see where the chat's at as I let this YouTube poll get running.
Randy says, problem is you need a trade partner, which is true. Drayden says, hopefully today. Curtis says next week, hopefully. Eric says not at all. Not going to be traded ever. He's going to be a Titan until he is in the grave and dead. That's crazy. Jerry says tomorrow. Darius says training camp. Laserface says June. Drayden says today, hopefully. Twice. He said it twice. So Drayden really hopes it's today. I have no idea what this is from John Foster. Week never. He won't be. Okay. I see. Week never. Cool. Yeah. Okay. John thinks he's not going to be traded at all. Day 3 of the draft is Orlando. During draft day 3, says Raz. So some very specific draft day predictions. And Titan says when Borgonzi wants a bag of chips. Funny, but not true. I'm writing an article about that, or I have an article about that today that you can read later.
Before the vending machine at the facility gets restocked.
That's right. After the draft, says Jeff. Day 3 of the draft, says Caleb. Everybody that thinks it's on day 3 of the draft in particular is strange to me. Why do you think on day 3?
You mean just give you my answer?
Sure.
I think it's day 3 of the draft.
Why?
Why
specifically day 3? Not that I don't think it could happen that day, but just why is that the day that you think?
Because I think the compensation is probably a day 3 pick. And I think that's the situation where a team that might be interested in a younger quarterback that has upside, which is, I guess, Will Levis, a younger quarterback that has upside who is cheap. They might miss out on the Will Howards, the Kyle McCords, the whoever, Tyler Shuck, that group of quarterbacks might be gone. And they're sitting there and the Titans like, hey, you want Will? He's a good guy, works hard, wants to win. I think that's where that is likely to happen.
Okay, I hear you. I don't even.
And then you immediately get a pick back, so the Titans get something instantly.
Well, so first of all, I wouldn't hold your breath, Titans fans, that you're necessarily getting a pick for him that's this year. I think a 2026 pick is certainly a possibility. I mean, I'm not saying it won't be a pick this year. If and when they trade him, don't be shocked if the pick is not a 2025 pick, is all I'm going to say. But if and when it is a 2025 pick, to your point, I don't even think it's about missing out on those players. I think that some teams may look at the crop of day 2, day 3 quarterbacks and say, I think we'd rather just have Will Levis and not spend a pick on it, and not spend this pick on
Chuck.
Riley Leonard.
Riley Leonard. Okay. I would take I would take Will Levis over Riley Leonard. In the NFL. Okay. In the NFL, even I would.
Okay. Well, that's my point, is that I think teams are going to be looking on the barrel of Riley Leonard at this pick, or send this pick to the Titans for Will Levis, and we really want a quarterback. And they say, okay, we'll just send it to, if we get Will Levis. And so I think that's how that could possibly happen. So that's your answer, day 3 of the draft. I just think it's going to happen.
Because I want to go deeper into this. Because
okay, can I give my answer real quick? Can I just
no?
Can I just put it on the record?
I will. You can have yours in a second. I just want to finish my. I gave you my microwave to say, hey, I'm rusty. I'm trying to get back into this thing.
All right,
So
let's
I'm
hear it.
sorry
Let's
for
hear it.
interrupting you for my 2.5 weeks off. All right. The second half of my take. And this is
Why are you acting like we're trading him? Because
it's going to happen. Because
Yes.
here's thank you. Because now I'm going to go right into my second half of the take.
Okay.
I do not think that Cam Ward and Will Levis should ever be in the facility together while on the roster together.
I think that's so stupid.
I
Who
know.
cares?
I just
Who
know.
cares?
I'm not saying they're going to create something. I'm just saying that is how the Titans should operate.
All
That
right.
when one guy comes in, the other guy should be out. They should be ships passing in the night. And so you're going to take Cam Ward on Thursday. I haven't been on here in a while. And so since, I guess it's been 20 days because it was May 4th. So I think it's the time that, or March 4th, the time that Will Levis is going out is likely to be on a Saturday. I think Cam Ward will come in and do a press conference on a Friday. I think that is when they're going to, Friday is the only day they should be in the office together. That's just the right timing. There's too much potential awkwardness because of how they attached themselves to Will Levis last season.
I think that's really stupid. I disagree. I think that the time to trade him is when they can get the most for him, and who cares whether or not that overlaps with Cam Ward.
No, I'm not saying that's why. I'm not saying that's why you're trading him. I'm just saying that's what's going to happen.
You said that's the way that the Titans should operate. That should be their focus. I think that's crazy.
No, not their focus.
You said it's the way they should operate, which implies that they should be focused on not having them in the building together.
They
that's
should
what
be
you're
able,
saying.
because I want them to focus on Cam Ward. I want them to be wiped hands
and they are.
clean.
Whether or not Will Levis is still sitting on the shelf in their facility or not, because they're trying to find the best trade for him, has nothing to do with their focus on Cam Ward. What are you talking about?
I want there to be a clean break, and I think that
okay. It's already broken. There's already been a break. Like what are we talking about? Like him still being on the roster when Cam Ward's on the roster says nothing about whether or not they're still sort of in on Will. Nothing. What are we talking about?
I just think that's the cleanest way to do it. It's you trade him again.
Sure, it'd be nice, but if you don't think if you're not crazy about the compensation that you're being offered before Cam Ward's around, it's very silly to be like, well, we got to just take what we can get. We got to get this guy out of here before Cam comes around.
I think the best way to do it for literally everybody involved, every party, the Titans, the coaching staff, the rest of the roster, the ownership, the marketing people, Cam Ward, and Will Levis. There are 7 parties involved there that I just named off the top of my head. I think the best outcome for all 7 parties is for Cam Ward drafted on Thursday night and Will Levis not on the roster by Sunday morning. I think that's the best way it could happen for everybody involved.
Yeah, that is the best way for 6 of those 7 parties. The 7th party being the Titans franchise. The best thing for them is to get the most for him. Not for them to be in the room together. That's so ridiculous. Would it be the most convenient and the least awkward? Sure. But is it what's best that no matter what, they get rid of him before Cam Ward's around? No, that's crazy. What's best is for them to get the most for him. What are we talking about? These are adults getting paid millions of dollars to play a kid's game. If they're in the building together when it's super duper incredibly obviously clear that the number 1 overall pick is your new guy and this other guy's a dead man walking in terms of being on this roster, who cares if they're technically on the roster for an overlap of 7 days or 7 weeks? Nobody should care. It's ridiculous. Get the most for him. And if the trade offers at the draft are baloney, then say, all right, well, maybe this guy needs to be around in training camp. Maybe we need to wait for somebody to get desperate. Maybe we need to play this guy in preseason games and show off how awesome he is and just juice his stock, gaslight the league as much as possible in August. If that's what it's going to take to get a 4th round pick for Will Levis, then gosh darn it, we're going to do it.
All right. So I want you to answer the question directly because I'm going to read the current YouTube poll standings. Prediction time. When do you think Will Levis will be traded away from the Titans? The 3 options of the poll: before the draft, during training camp. The current results, Easton, before you give your official answer, mine was during the draft. 24% say before the draft, 36% say during the draft, and leading is 41% saying during training camp. I am shocked that 41% is the leading of during training camp because I think that's should be the 3rd option for the team. I don't think bringing him to training camp is smart. I think it's a waste of resources. Easton, your answer on when will, this is a prediction, right?
Mm-hmm.
When will the Titans trade away Will Levis?
Yeah, I think that they will trade him the week of April 20th, the week of the draft, whether that's right before or during. That's
we'll just say that counts as during the draft. Draft week counts as during the draft, right?
Yeah. That's just as specific as I'm willing to get is on draft week. And I won't be shocked by any of these things. I won't be shocked if we find out later today that he's traded. I won't be shocked if we find out after the third preseason game that he's traded. I'm just going to be shocked if we find out that he's not traded. That's all I'm going to be shocked by. I'm a little bit surprised that many people think that it's going to be during training camp, but maybe that's just some realism. Maybe that is them thinking that the best way to get the most value for him is to, again, gaslight the league, juice his stock throughout the summer. But I found that a little bit surprising.
I say it's a waste of resources. I think you and I had a text conversation. I don't know if it was last week. It was during the 2.5 weeks that I was out. As by the way, welcomed our son to the world earlier this month. So that's where I've been the last couple of weeks, and appreciate all the congratulation messages that we've seen so far. But you and I were texting about. I don't think it makes any sense to have Cam Ward, Brandon Allen, and Will Levis all in training camp together, because just the same way I felt last year about having Will Levis, Mason Rudolph, and Malik Willis. Like Malik Willis, now they got a future 7th round pick for him in a trade for the Packers. Cool, right? Like great. But I think to some extent, time and effort was spent on Malik Willis that could have been spent elsewhere. And I think Malik is a little bit in a different spot because you still had an unknown label on Malik a little bit. But with Levis, there is no unknown label. Like, where you're at with Will Levis. So there is no point to have him on the roster once you are practicing. All of the efforts should be going into Cam Ward, and any rep that's for a third quarterback needs to be just to save the arms of the other two quarterbacks and truly have a camp arm to throw to guys who are also not going to make the roster. So Cam Ward and Allen don't have to waste their arm in throws there. Will Levis is not that. So I think you should not bring him to camp. That would be a waste of effort and resources, in my opinion. I don't know if you agree with me or not. You kind of, when we texted about this, you kind of disagreed a little bit.
Yeah, I do disagree. I hear what you're saying. And if it was a team that was good, I would probably agree. But this kind of transitions into my take for the second half of the show about the backup quarterback situation and what I wrote in that article that we've been referencing this morning about how I think that the Titans are going into the year with a bad backup quarterback situation. And it is exactly the right way to do it for where they're at in terms of their team building. And so I don't think it's wasted resources, because you're not going to be pulling away from any of the resources spent on the starter, the number 1 overall pick, Cam Ward, for the backups. He's going to get all of that preferential treatment no matter what, whether Will Levis is on the roster or not, in terms of having to split backup reps running with the second team or the third team. Who cares? I don't care if Brandon Allen's going to, he'll get less opportunity than he otherwise would if he was the only guy in the backup room, so to speak. But I don't care, because I don't care about him being good.
Will Levis being good?
I don't care about Brandon. I don't care about the backup being good, period. In this case, Brandon Allen.
Okay. All right. So do you want to go ahead and flip to this next conversation?
Yes.
Okay. Because the Titans have, I don't know if you're calling it the worst backup quarterback at this point. There's still a lot of
in the league. No.
Yeah.
No.
But the Titans maybe of a new. Look, here are the quarterbacks that were
of the free agent backup quarterback signings. Theirs was the least inspiring.
Even Nick Mullins in Jacksonville.
All right, hang on. I'm looking at the list now.
We're like
theirs was. I think theirs was. If we were doing a tier list, theirs was clearly in the bottom, the F tier, with Nick Mullins, Kyle Trask is not really that. He's just coming back to the same team, so I don't really count that.
Yeah,
Kyle Allen. I'd say Mullins, Allen, and Zappy are in that F tier of inspiring quarterback signings.
Kyle Allen's not a second stringer, right?
You're right. That's going to be a Well, hang on.
Hooker.
Yeah, but they hate Hooker, so he probably will be a second stringer. They
Okay, but it's
hate
not
Hooker
a
in
but
Detroit.
which is so weird.
I mean, retired off the couch Teddy Bridgewater came in the playoffs and suddenly
No, that's a different situation
unseat.
though.
No, it's not.
Yeah, that's a you need somebody who has playoff experience to maximize your Super Bowl opportunities rather than a guy who has not played yet. In my opinion.
Everybody knows when you need playoff experience, you go to Teddy Bridgewater.
Okay, he was available. Bailey Zappi, is Carson Wentz still with the Chiefs, or is that an expiring deal?
He is no longer with the Chiefs because the Chiefs added Zappi and added Gardner Minshew.
Okay, so Zappi's a third string guy too.
Yes.
Right? Trask is a third stringer. Nick Mullins.
Minshew's not on this list because his contract details are not out yet, but he's surely making more than Zappi. He's probably making in the
100%.
I guess he's making in the Marcus Jameis range, probably, maybe even Brissett.
So better quarterbacks. I mean, is Nick Mullins, is he the primary backup to Lawrence right now because Mac Jones is gone? I would say so.
Yes.
And I think Nick Mullins has probably done more in the NFL than Brandon Allen.
Oh, yeah.
So Brandon Allen is the worst second string quarterback signing so far.
To be fair, we're making an assumption because right now he's on the roster with Will Levis. But yes, assuming he is the primary backup, which we believe he is, yes, he is definitely the worst backup quarterback signing. And we're not just like hating on him. Look at the numbers. Look at his contract. By the way, his 1 year, $1.4 million AAV, he is guaranteed less than $1 million at signing. It's like $800,000. So it is as bare minimum a commitment for the Titans as you can possibly get for an NFL team.
So
it's a contract, frankly, that's a contract that does not dictate him even being on the roster. Like
it's literally it's vet minimum.
It's like super cuttable. Like this guy doesn't even have to be on the 53 if we don't want him to be.
It's a vet minimum that you can get out of because veterans will negotiate these vet minimum contracts and have different dollar figures in their guaranteed line 5 of what that means. And so like if you have a higher line 5 guaranteed dollar figure, then you're more likely to make it. This is a completely, I don't know. So let's take us through this because we have this question to ask you guys too here on the show. And that is it good process or bad process for the Titans to have a rookie quarterback paired with a very low-end backup? Good process or bad process for the Titans to have a rookie quarterback, and we're talking about Cam Ward here, paired with a very low-end backup. So set the table on the conversation, Easton, so people and I can have a educated answer on this next question. Good process or bad process would have Cam Ward with a very low-end backup.
Right. So I wrote about this yesterday, and I'm not going to give away my take just yet because I want folks to have a chance to answer for themselves. But the basic question here is, how concerned are you based on Brandon Allen being their effort at backup? Because there were a lot of better options. If we pull that list back up, like there were a lot of really nice, Jacoby Brissett was out there. I don't think they were ever really going to be in the Daniel Jones range because he got a ridiculous amount of money, but Mariota, Winston, even Rudolph in a return, Josh Dobbs, Mac Jones, Heineke, Zach Wilson, even. These were guys we talked about as higher end backups who all got higher end money that obviously have more upside and or more playing experience that gives you some sort of confidence in them, however small it may be. Some confidence in them to be able to win in a spot start situation, which is what generally the backup is relied on to do, right? Can you come in for 3 games and win 1 or 2? Can you come in for a month and a half and win 2 or 3 games? That's what we need you to do in a pinch if we're a good team. That's if we're trying to win games, right? And so that's the question is, for this Titans team right now, if I'm telling you that Brandon Allen is the guy as the backup, it's Cam Ward, Brandon Allen, and that's it on the roster heading into week 1 in September, is that good or bad for this current Titans team?
Okay. Good or bad for this current Titans team? I put up the YouTube poll. We finished the first poll. Easton, I'll have you tell us all about our friends at Bart Derm Injury Law as we let the poll results fly in.
Love our friends over at Bart Durham Injury Law. A crash can change your life forever. Help is only a click away over at bartdurham.com. Your big truck wreck is their fight for justice. Let the Injury Law Center over at Bart Durham help you, as they are only one phone call away. You can reach them 24/7. Get your legal questions answered at 615-242-9000. They believe that you deserve to be paid, and their attorneys are available to meet with you whenever is most convenient, including virtually. Visit the website at bartdurham.com for current news, blogs, and to contact or live chat with them. They've been in business since 1975, so they got 50 years of experience dealing with all kinds of wrecks. They're located right here locally in Capitol View, Nashville, but they can fight for anybody in Kentucky or Tennessee that's been in an automobile accident, led, of course, by Blair Durham, great Tennessean, great Marine veteran, doing things the right way over there at bartdurham.com.
Also, make sure that you do subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us that 5-star Google review. That goes a long way for us. 5 stars on Google. Appreciate that. Do have a quick super chat here. King VC says, lock in, like the show. Welcome back,
Okay.
Austin. Appreciate you, King VC. Been a good couple of weeks for me. But let's go to the YouTube poll. Easton, you've set this up. Good process or bad process for the Titans to have a rookie quarterback paired with a very low-end backup? 39% say good process, 61% say bad process in the early results of the poll.
Let's say that again. What's the lead?
39% good, 38% good, 62% bad.
That sounds about right to me for what I would expect from folks.
So I think one caveat that wasn't really thrown out there is the fact that the very low end backup has time spent with the head coach in the system.
Sure. He's Callahan's boy, it seems.
That helps.
Sure.
And he's 32. That helps.
Sure.
He's got some wisdom to him. He's been around the league. He knows how to sustain a career, whether it's not throwing the ball very much, but he's been around, right?
He's a useful guy in the room.
That is important. And I think that is like on the field, he's not doing much for you, but that is a big deal there, right? So, I mean, I don't want this to spoil a show that might be for tomorrow, that might be for Wednesday at one point this week.
Well, then don't.
I know I'm trying to answer the question in the right way to not spoil something, because it depends on good process or bad process for whom. For the Titans, I will say, man, it's probably just bad process. Do you not want somebody with a higher ceiling? Unless Brandon Allen has a legitimate future as an NFL quarterback coach, I think I would want a little bit more from my backup quarterback with Cam Ward. More ability.
Why?
Just so you can like have a better eyeball, like just a better, just I don't know, just because you want better players.
Why?
Like, no, I'm not saying you're going to get somebody who's starting level.
I know.
But like, oops, sorry.
But what benefit is it to this Titans team? Let's just pick a guy. Let's say instead of Brandon Allen, they had
Mac Jones.
Sure.
Like Mac Jones, like nobody in the stadium is going to be chanting for Mac Jones if Cam Ward is struggling.
Well, JT Runke would be, but nobody else would be.
I don't care about your boy JT chanting from the press box or wherever he.
I gotta throw him under the bus real quick.
Now I will say, Josh Dobbs would would get all of that.
He'd get some cheers. Yeah, you would.
And Jameis. So Josh Dobbs and Jameis, and maybe Mariota because of the.
Marcus would. Yeah, it's coming around on Marcus.
But I think even if it was Daniel Jones, nobody wants to see Daniel Jones over Cam Ward. Nobody. I think anybody on the right side above Brandon Allen, maybe not Kyle Trask, but like Nick Mullins, Cooper Rush, Taylor Heineke, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, I have no interest in. But I think those guys are better quarterbacks than Brandon Allen. And I think
of course. No one's arguing.
So I say bad process. I say bad process.
Right, but you still haven't answered my question.
Why?
what benefit is it to this Titans team to have Mac Jones, for example, on the roster instead of Brandon Allen?
I think
This is not a gotcha. Like I'm trying to really like see if we can get to the bottom of this. It's not an easy answer, right? Like I think that's kind of my point. What's the point?
Just because you want to have better, because I think it can be better in practice. Like I think here's a take.
You can have better practices. That's fair.
Okay. I think the good thing about what the Titans have set up with Callahan, Borgonzi, and Brinker is that the majority of their careers, they've seen the quarterback position being played at a Hall of Fame level. With you have like Brinker with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, Borgonzi with Mahomes, and then with Callahan, you can name Burrow. You can also point to Stafford or Peyton, too. So like they know what it's supposed to look like. Like those three guys, Brinker, Borgonzi, and Callahan, know what it's supposed to look like. But I feel like having a better level backup makes more sense than Brandon Allen, who's just there to be an extension of the coaching staff, is what I kind of see it as.
So, and I've seen a couple people ask for the link to the article, which I was going to send in just a minute. I'll send the link to this article if folks want to read it more in detail. But the only answer that I really care about that I think actually matters to my question of why do you want a better backup is what, I lost it. Somebody, here we go. Daniel says winning is everything. As Aaron says, because he can win more games. That's the answer to the question that actually matters. You want a better backup because they can, so that they are able to win you games.
If the rookie gets hurt, right?
Right. Yeah. No, in a backup role, you want a better security blanket that could potentially win you games. That's the only point to me.
Sure.
That's the only thing that matters to me ever about having a better or a worse backup quarterback. And that's what I wrote in the article, which I am sending the link to right now.
So are you good process or bad process?
Good process. Good, to be clear. Good process. I mean, in the headline of my article, I said there's a great reason why it's exactly the right approach. It is exactly the right approach for the Titans to go in with a bad backup situation. I have a pretty strong opinion on backup quarterbacks in general. I think that on good teams, they are the most underrated position on the entire roster. And I think on bad teams, they are probably among the most overrated positions on the entire roster. And the reason is because if you are, and by bad team, I should specify for this Titans team, this Titans team is exactly the right kind of bad team because it is a bad team with about to be franchise quarterback at the helm, right? This is a team. This is like the example I used in the article was the 2019 Bengals, the first year of Burrow. 2020 Bengals?
2020 Bengals was the first year of Burrow.
2020 Bengals. The 2020 Bengals, the first year with Burrow. They're that kind of team where this team they are in a rebuild situation. They are not fleshed out at all in terms of depth or top end talent. They're still looking for blue chip players. They're still building this thing, but they got their guy at number 1 overall. They've got the guy that they have this regime has hitched their wagon to. He's going to be the quarterback, and everything about their franchise, really success or failure, is predicated on that guy's success. And so a lot like that year in 2020 with the Bengals and Joe Burrow, where he goes down for the year. I think it was in Washington on that terrible field. Chase Young, I think, was the one who did it. And we thought we were all terrified because it looked horrible. And
it was the same yard line
as the Alex Smith thing.
Yeah,
that's right. That's the parallel that I was remembering.
No.
Or was it the Theismann thing?
Theismann. Theismann and Alex Smith are the same, not Burrow.
Too many devastating Washington quarterbacks on that terrible field in that terrible stadium to remember. The point is, it was bad. And the Bengals, a Brian Callahan partially led, a Brian Callahan team at the time. After that happened, they lost their way all the way to another top 5 pick in consecutive years. And they went and they got Jamar Chase. And if you go back and you actually look at we talked about this at the end of this year when the Titans were like kind of trying to lose games. And as reference, that year, the Bengals at the end of that year, their final game was one of the greatest intentional tank jobs of all time, if you ask me. And so what I said in the article was, when you are a bad team with a franchise quarterback who nothing else really matters right now besides that franchise quarterback, you are better off with a bad backup quarterback who's not going to win you games, to me. And as I put at the very end of my article, I ended with this. I was talking to somebody, it was at the Senior Bowl, somebody that has worked in the NFL for NFL teams for quite a long time, who shared with me their personal philosophy, which was if you can't win 10 or more games, you're better off winning 3 or less. I think that is a sharp approach. It is way easier said than done, obviously. And there's a lot of nuance that goes into that, timing that goes into that, all of these things. But if and when, and God forbid, if and when Cam Ward is not available this year, and I sure hope we don't ever have to have this conversation, obviously, having a guy on the team as a backup that is going to come in and win you games does you no good. Is there other development to continue, whether or not that terrible thing happens early in the season, midpoint of the season, late in the season? Is there still going to be time in the season for meaningful development on the rest of the 21 positions on the field? Is there still things good that need to happen there? Yes. I'm not saying like, we'll just shut it down because nothing else matters. But that development, the development of your linebacker room and your safeties and your offensive line, pretty much everything besides, I guess, specifically the receivers, is not really super going to be impacted by the quality of quarterback play that you have at backup and whether or not that guy can add tallies in the win column for you or not. Those things can still carry on. And they all serve the greater purpose of let's set ourselves up the best for this ongoing rebuild this next offseason, because this year is a quote unquote wash. Now that our franchise quarterback is done for the year, we don't need a guy that can come. What good does Mac Jones or Jacoby Brissett being on the roster do for this team for them to come in and play the last 6 games and win 3 of them? It does them no good.
Yeah, so you're basically saying like you might as well set yourself up to draft Jamar Chase.
Yeah, if you have to rely on a backup for meaningful snaps, why would you want them winning games if you're this team right now? I think that the answer is there's not a good reason.
That's fair. That's fair. And look, it's way too early to look at the 2026 NFL draft, and not a lot of work has been done on those prospects comparatively. And Jeremiah Smith is not available still. But you look at the wide receivers, and you're looking at a couple guys from USC. But the 10th ranked prospect, I'm on NFLDraftBuzz.com. Zachariah Branch is the number 1 wide receiver as of now in 2026 draft. He's 5'10", 175, apparently runs a 4.3, 540. Speed, agility, dynamic threat in any offensive scheme, create separation. So he's a 10th best prospect, right? But if you're there now, your Arch Manning's not going to be in this draft class. He's going to stay at Texas another year.
Agreed. Glad we can agree on that.
No, that's what's going to happen.
I feel you.
And so who knows, what your options are to be drafting high if this hypothetical plays out.
Well, but let me share another parallel for you that just kind of hit me. You're right that so much is unknown and it's so hard to say. But one thing that we do know is that next year's quarterback class is a collection of like 6 guys that none of us are sure. Like it's not clear who the guy is. It's not even clear who necessarily is good or great, but they all have really significant potential. And we're going to be watching their upcoming season very closely because any or all of these 6 guys could be first round, top 10, top 5 picks, right? Like there's a lot of really intriguing quarterback talent, and odds are at least 2 or 3 of these guys will end up having good years and end up being top picks. And so in that 2021 class where the Bengals went and got Jamar Chase, that was another really at the time, really good quarterback draft class. And 1, 2, and 3 were Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and Trey Lance, pushing the blue chip guys and Kyle Pitts and Jalen Waddle and Penei Sewell and Jamar Chase down to the teams that. So my point is, if you're the Titans and if you have a backup that goes in and loses, we're so far ahead of the ball here. Right. But you lose these games, you're going to be in the top 10. Any team that's in the top 10 next year that doesn't need a quarterback is probably going to be in a advantageous situation in terms of who non-quarterback wise falls to them, is my point.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm just going off the same website. Arch Manning, Nico Imaliava, Drew Aller, Lenore Sellers, Garrett Nussmeier, Cade Klubnik, Sam Levitt are the top 7. Right. And those are all guys who, I don't think I feel very confident saying Arch Manning's not going to be there. So there's 6 quarterbacks who could have first round labels.
Any one of those guys has a monster year and they're a top 10 pick.
For sure. If not higher. All right. So look, fair. You're selling me a little bit on it being good.
No Carson Beck. You're not going to include Carson Beck in there?
Screw Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, same guy.
Hey, you're right. All right. But so I'm selling you a little bit on the point here. That in my
Yeah, for
general
sure.
philosophy, backup quarterback, most underrated position on good teams, most overrated position on bad teams.
All right. I dig it. I dig it. So, all right, let's wrap up this Monday show. A little age game action. I'm back in the saddle here. And I'm going to let Easton try to guess the age of somebody here. So, time for a little age game to wrap things up. Here we go. But first, I want to tell everybody about Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Say hey to Painbone for us while you're there. Easton, do you have the chat hidden?
I do now.
Okay, good. Age game time. So look, this is it's gonna be a long 3 days because we as a sports community have been just drinking by the gallon all of the college basketball we could possibly want for the last 6 days. You have the first 4, 2 days, and then 4 straight days of nonstop college basketball, right? We got to wait until Thursday night. It's like, not only is it 3 days, but it's like 3 days and then Thursday until like 5 p.m. Central Time. And so I like you, have loved all of the college basketball experience over the last 4 days, and now the withdrawals come fast and strong. Easton, in my opinion, and we do broadcasting, in my opinion, the best group of broadcasters for the NCAA tournament currently is the trio on courtside that usually does the CBS games of Ian Eagle, Grant Hill, and Bill Raftery. Okay. How old is Bill Raftery?
Of those three,
Onions.
I was hoping you'd say one of the other two.
Open up in a minute. Like, so to me, I love Bill Raftery. I think Ian Eagle's phenomenal. Grant Hill and Bill Raftery to me is somewhat along the lines of Kirk Herbstreit to Lee Corso. It's the younger guy who has the beautiful relationship with the older guy, and it's such a joy to watch those two together work. So how old is Bill Raftery?
I was about to say, literally all I know about Bill Raftery, I couldn't place his face. If I saw him in public, I'd walk right past him and know nothing about it. I could place his voice, obviously, and the only thing I know about him, besides that he's on that crew with Ian Eagle, is that he sounds like 50 years older than Ian Eagle. You kind of just gave me a little bit of a clue there that it's maybe a Corso situation. So I'm thinking he's really old. I'm thinking he's like, I'm surprised you're not retired old, even though I think that he's good enough to not be retired, to be clear. So if he, I mean, I am tethering myself to the Corso thing so hard, which might be a mistake on my part, but I have nothing else to go based off of. If we're going based off of the Corso comp, I'll say Raftery is in his 80s. I'll say he's like 80, 81. I'll say 81 years old. Shot in the dark.
David, 75. Nope. Jody, 67. Too young. As is 65. Eric with 81. Bill Raftery is 81 years old.
Let's go! Bang!
No, that's Mike Breen. That's Mike Breen.
I know. I'm aware.
Dang it. Did I give too much? Did I talk too much?
Maybe. Probably. I mean, the only thing I had to go based off was the Corso thing. And I don't even know how old Corso is, but that's what made me think old. All
right. Eric Castillo. Wait, no, was it Eric? Yes.
Eric it was Castillo Eric. Was
the first. Okay, so I got to remember this. Zach is at a summit, so he is not going to be available. Well, I'm just going to text Zach right now for the age game.
I believe I am 2 of 4 all time on the age game. Or 2 of 5, something like that.
See, here's the problem. I am really bad at the presenting of age game. Age game winners, Eric Castillo.
You tend to give too much? I mean, I don't even know if mentioning Corso was giving too much because I still was just guessing an old man.
No, I told you the fact that he was like Kirk Herbstreit to Corso. That probably
that is what I
narrowed it down to the right decade probably for you.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Damn it.
Thanks for that.
Well, Now I'm sad because I'm so like
I'm
I
quite
feel
happy.
like I'm like a cornerback that just allows like ridiculous completion percentage on the age game. Like I'm just I'm just making it too easy for you guys.
The
It's
QBR against Austin in coverage is 147.
yeah, it's just because I stick to the sports lane. I don't go pop culture because I don't know anything pop culture.
Right.
How old is Lee Corso?
I mean, he's also probably older in his 80s. I'd guess 84.
Lee
85?
Corso is 89.
Whoo!
He'll be
Okay.
90 this upcoming football season. Turns
Wow.
90 in August.
Yeah, hang it up, Lee. Man.
How old is Ian Eagle?
Ian is really young, like 31. Or no, I'm thinking of his son. My bad.
Noah?
I'm thinking of Noah. Noah is like 31. Ian's probably 55.
Ian Eagle is 56.
I was really
Noah,
close.
his son, is 28.
I was really close on both accounts.
Noah, very good, but
Nepo announcer. He is a Nepo announcer, but he's great, so I don't care.
He's very good.
He's awesome.
But
he's great.
Nobody gets jobs at that level by 28.
No one.
He's been doing it for a few years. He got the damn jobs when he was like 25.
He's way ahead of schedule because
that's not how the industry works.
But he is absolutely he'd be there by 35 just on raw talent alone. He's that good. He's that good.
Man, 35 is so early for that stuff. Like
he'd be doing SEC championship weekends and everybody be like, wow, this kid's great. And then he'd be getting some spot NBA starts, and then he's that good, man. He's that good.
I don't know. That's like Adam Zucker, like is 48 years old. I remember Adam Zucker being like, oh, this young dude, good. But when he started taking over more CBS stuff,
yeah,
and that was like 10 years ago when he was like late 30s. Like,
well, listen, this is a genes-based business, and he's got the right genes, so I don't mind the nepotism makes sense to me. I don't care.
Yeah. Corey says, I want to buy an A to Z shirt or a 1-star Google reviews incoming. Now, don't.
Is that a threat?
We are working on that, Corey, because we are trying to make our gear better. So, Corey,
I want good A to Z gear as well. I've been hounding Austin.
You have good A to Z gear.
I have A to Z gear.
You have good A to Z gear.
I have A to Z gear.
You have good A to Z gear.
I have a significant quantity of A to Z gear.
Oh, come on. You've gotten some of the newer pieces, some of the sample stuff.
I have a Nike polo. So that's a nice thing.
Oh wait, you don't have one of the new. You have the same gray hat that I have. You don't have one of the navy hats. Neither do I.
I don't have one of the good hats. I don't have one of the good pullovers. And I too am going to leave a 1-star review if I don't soon get one of the new stuff. I need the samples to turn into merchandise stock. We need that sample to go to stock.
Those navy hats, like I don't have one of the navy hats.
All I wear is trucker hats. I don't like the hat you sent me. I haven't told you this. I'm never wearing that hat. I look stupid in that hat. So I might as well give it back to you.
I have to be a very specific hat person too.
I have a big old head. Like that's let's say a fitted trucker cap that has like some body to it. The hats that are like the cloth that like just fit to the shape of your head. I look so stupid in. I look ridiculous.
I have a shallow head, so if it doesn't have structure, it just sinks.
Hang on, watch this.
How long is this going to take? Caps asks, you have a merch shop yet? That's what we're working on. We're having to because we've gone national, right? We can't just have Nashville stuff. We have to go national.
Here's the hat that I have, right?
Yeah,
never worn it.
Like the dad hat stuff.
Yeah,
right?
it's like the dad. It's like a dad hat.
Yeah, it just doesn't fit your head.
I mean, it will go on my head, but it looks
nothing's wrong with that.
It looks ridiculous, Austin. What are we talking about? It's like frumpy. Chat. Tell him this looks dumb.
So you don't have a dad hat head.
No, not at all.
I don't need
that hat is Austin said that the hat is fine if you have the right head for it. I do not. I look like a toddler.
I can't wear dad hats either. I have to wear hats
hat
like
should
that.
Look on somebody's head.
Yeah,
on my head.
I have to wear hats like that. And then a lot of times, like forward hats on me look weird.
Curtis says it makes me look older. It does. Makes it look like I should be mowing a lawn in this hat.
Yeah, that's why it's called dad hat.
It looks when it says it looks sad on Easton's head. It makes me sad to look at. So if anybody wants this hat, you can come to my house and get it.
Do you want people to come to your house?
Yeah. I'm gonna
Okay.
tell people
All right.
my address is your address.
Address,
See what happens.
DM Easton for his address.
Yep.
All right. That's it for us on this Monday. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll have a good show tomorrow. I've got takes.
Hey, I'll be
that
back
are-
tomorrow.
Yeah, I've got takes that I've been sitting on for a couple weeks. Well, make sure you hit that like button. We didn't talk about that enough. Like the show.
Cam
like
Ward
the
Pro
show.
Day today, by the way. Cam Ward
That's
Pro Day.
right. So we'll have some stuff to talk about tomorrow, maybe. Like
This
the
just
show.
in, the contingent from the Titans at the Cam Ward Pro Day: Chad Brinker, Mike Borgonzi, Reggie McKenzie, Dave Ziegler, Brian Callahan, Nick Holtz, and others.
The whole team.
You think they're interested?
The whole team's there. All right, guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Buck Rising Live tonight for primetime. Appreciate it as always.